Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a sensory virtual culinary tour through one of Tokyo's absolute most fascinating food neighborhoods. I mean, just imagine the scent of roasted spices wafting through narrow, bustling streets lined with vintage clothing stores and record shops. We're heading straight into Shimokitazawa to explore its legendary, literally unrivaled curry scene, all based on what top reviewers and local experts are sharing. So, you might be wondering, why is Shimokitazawa famous for curry? This is a neighborhood that sits just 4 minutes away from the neon lights of Shibuya and only 7 minutes from the massive hub of Shinjuku by train. Yet, it feels entirely different. It draws dedicated curry pilgrims from all over the city, and honestly, from all over the world. But what is it about this specific cluster of streets that makes it an absolute mecca for spice lovers?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our step-by-step insider's itinerary. We'll cover the Tokyo curry capital, the 3 curry styles, landmark curry shops, ordering like a local, and finally, planning your curry crawl. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The Tokyo Curry Capital, the Indie Food Center.
The sources make it super clear that it all comes down to the atmosphere and the sheer passion of the chefs. Shimokitazawa boasts one of the densest clusters of independent curry shops in all of Tokyo. We aren't talking about massive corporate chain restaurants here. We're talking about tiny, intimate, owner-run counters, often with just a handful of seats. These places build massive devoted followings, not by offering some huge 50-page menu, but by perfecting a single signature recipe. And historically, this very neighborhood is credited with helping popularize soup curry nationwide, basically taking it from a regional specialty to an absolute national obsession.
Section 2. The 3 curry styles, the rule of 3.
And this brilliantly illustrates how you essentially have 3 paths when choosing what to eat. First, there's soup curry, which is the absolute local signature. This is a thin, incredibly aromatic broth served with rice on the side, and it comes loaded with massive, separately cooked vegetables. It's way lighter and spicier than you might expect. Then, you have spice curry. This is a drier, Tokyo-grown style built on whole and ground spices rather than a thick roux. It's often served Aigake, which means you get 2 totally different curries side by side on the same plate so you can mix them. Finally, there's the classic Japanese curry rice. This is the sweet, thick, roux-based comfort version you'd find in a diner. It's delicious, but it's actually less of the main draw for the hardcore food pilgrims coming specifically to this neighborhood.
Section 3. Landmark curry shops, must-visit places.
According to the neighborhood history, the obvious first stop is Magic Spice. This landmark originally hails from Sapporo and is widely credited with actually coining the term soup curry back in the 1990s. The Shimokitazawa branch is wild. It features these bright maze-like psychedelic rooms that are honestly half the experience. Here, you build your own bowl. You pick a protein, and then you climb their famous heat ladder. Their spice levels have names. You start at a gentle awakening, move up to nirvana, and if you're truly brave, you can pay extra to reach paradise. A quick tip from the sources, though. Nirvana is where most of the regulars usually stop, so, you might want to reconsider before buying a one-way ticket to paradise. Next up is Rojiura Curry SAMURAI. This is another Hokkaido chain, and it is the ultimate vegetable-forward counter. They're famous for piling a literal small mountain of seasonal vegetables into every single bowl. You get to choose your soup base, regular, tomato, or coconut, and their crispy chicken leg is the absolute standout order to beat. According to reviewers, if you know a curry skeptic, this is the exact place that will completely change their mind.
To contrast those soup curries, the guides highly recommend visiting Shiva Curry Wara. This shop represents the drier Tokyo spice style. It's famous for beautifully plated Aigake pairings, meaning you get to taste 2 completely different curries competing and complementing each other on a single plate. They trade the thin broth for intense dry spices. They're also known for having slightly shorter lunch lines, which is a huge bonus, and a menu board that changes very often, keeping things fresh for the regulars.
So, synthesizing the notes on these landmarks, the crucial point is recognizing exactly how to customize your order at each of these 3 distinct spots to get the perfect meal. At Magic Spice, your focus is on the protein and navigating those psychedelic-named heat tiers. At Samurai, your major choice is the soup base and the rice type to pair with that mountain of veggies. And at Shiva Curry Wara, it's all about choosing the perfect 2 curries for your Aigake pairing. Listen to this incredible insight from Food and Cafes writer Theo Nakagawa. This is basically an exclusive local secret being whispered to us. He advises that at a soup curry shop, you should spend your decision on the soup base, not just the heat. Choosing a coconut or tomato base alters the fundamental character of the bowl far more than just bumping up the spice level 1 notch. So prioritize the flavor profile first and the pure heat second.
Section 4. Ordering like a local. Order confidently. Soup curry is built to order. Based on local menus, if you get these 4 exact steps right, the bowl you get is uniquely yours, and not just the kitchen's default. Step 1, choose your soup base. Like we just talked about, regular, tomato, or coconut sets the whole tone. Step 2, pick your heat level on their numbered or named scale. Remember, the top tiers usually cost a bit extra. Step 3, pick your rice size, and often you can choose between white or brown rice. And finally, step 4, load up on toppings. You can add extra vegetables, cheese, a soft egg, or even a second protein by the piece.
Now, what's really interesting here is that this highlights the absolute #1 mistake tourists make. When you eat soup curry, you spoon the broth and you take the rice a bite at a time. Do not pour your rice into the broth, and definitely do not pour the broth all over your plate of rice. Keep them separate. This is the local etiquette, and following it ensures you experience the textures exactly as the chef intended. Let's ground this culinary fantasy in some practical travel budget reality. A standard bowl of soup curry sits comfortably in the 1,200 to 1,800 yen band. Spiced curry and plain curry rice are even cheaper, usually running 900 to 1,400 yen, so it really remains a wonderfully affordable meal. Just keep in mind extra toppings and larger rice will add a few hundred yen, and many of these tiny counters still prefer cash. So definitely bring physical yen and try to go early or late to skip those infamous lunch lines.
Section 5, planning your curry crawl, the ultimate itinerary.
Let's zoom out and see how this builds into the perfect half-day itinerary. Because these dishes are rich, you really have to pace this heavy sensory experience. Start your day with a vibrant soup curry at lunch when the landmark shops are freshest and the lines are most manageable. Then, give your stomach a break. Walk it off by wandering through Shimokitazawa's famous lanes, do some vintage clothing shopping, or grab a slow drip coffee. Then, as the late afternoon rolls around, finish your day with a deeply flavorful, drier spice curry.
If you're lucky enough to be planning a trip in the fall, travel guides say you absolutely have to know about the Shimokitazawa Curry Festival. Every October since 2012, this massive event completely takes over the neighborhood. Over 100 shops take part. You buy a festival ticket book and hop between participating locations, eating smaller portions, stamp rally style. Even local bars and cafes that don't normally serve curry join in with one-off specials. It is undeniably the best week of the year to try places you might normally just walk past. But we do have a final piece of insider advice on the festival from music and culture writer Saori Mizuno. She strongly advises doing the curry festival on a weekday evening if you possibly can. The weekend crowds are huge. By going on a weekday, you expertly dodge the heaviest foot traffic, and, as she notes, you can easily roll a few small bowls of curry into catching a late live music show afterward, really soaking up the full local culture.
So you have the itinerary, you know the styles, and you know exactly how to order. The only question left before you book your tickets and hit the streets of Tokyo is this. When you sit down in those psychedelic rooms at Magic Spice, which heat level will you be brave enough to try? Will you stop at Nirvana or push all the way to paradise? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Now go plan your crawl.